my shorts.
Disney announced a massive change-up in their operations, which has done nothing but stoke the flames, right? Only a couple of days after they've been called out by UNIC, they're just fanning the fire.
Throw a bit of fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
A bit of petrol on the fire.
CNBC reported Disney are restructuring their media and entertainment divisions, centralizing their media business into a single organization that will be responsible for content distribution, ad sales, and Disney Plus, in an effort to further accelerate its direct-to-consumer strategy. Now, this happened effective immediately. CEO of Disney, the new CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek, went on CNBC, made this announcement, effective immediately. That's when the change happened, and the stocks for Disney bloody skyrocketed immediately after this. I've got a very small clip here of Bob Chapek on CNBC. This is what he had to say about it.
Well, what we want to do, Julia, is accelerate our transition to a real direct-to-consumer priority company. We believe that we've got the opportunity to build upon the success of Disney Plus, which by almost any measure has been far and above anybody's expectations, and really use this to catalyze our growth and increase shareholder wealth. Yeah, I would not characterize it as a response to COVID. I might say that COVID accelerated the rate at which we made this transition, but this transition was going to happen anyway, because essentially what we want to do is separate out the folks who make our wonderful content based on tremendous franchises from the decision-making in terms of where the prioritization is in terms of how it gets commercialized into the marketplace. And what we want to do is leave it to a group of folks who can really see objectively across all the constituents that we have, the various different considerations that we've got, and make the optimal decision for the company, as opposed to somehow having it be predetermined that a movie is destined for theaters or that a TV show is destined for ABC.
Right.
Oh, God.
So essentially what he's saying is all these divisions, I've said it in the past, Disney are so divided up. And if I want to contact anyone at Disney, I have specific contacts for specific areas of the company, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that be home media, whether that be Disney, animation, that be Fox, for the 20th Century Studios side, Lucasfilm and Marvel, right? Disney Parks, Disney Channel, Disney Plus. They're all just separate.
They're all separate.
Not anymore.
All one.
They've created this one new team of people who,
go on.
It's now their job to decide what content goes where. It says no more about, we're making a film for theatrical, we're making a film for Disney Plus, we're doing this. It's we're making content, and now this team decides where it's going to go.
That probably goes back to what we were talking about last week about, or the last couple of weeks, about the large blockbuster films will probably go to cinema.
Yeah.
And the ones that would have gone to cinemas in the past that weren't blockbusters will probably go straight to streaming.
Exactly right. While Disney have had a terrible run at non-blockbuster films the last 10 years. Everything that's a blockbuster, most everything that is a blockbuster goes out from Disney, $1 billion plus, right? Had a few flops here and there. The movies that haven't performed very well are the smaller films that aren't based on anything other than like maybe a book or something like that. Not part of a massive franchise thing. They're pulling like $200,000, $300,000, which is a huge drop down from $1 billion or $2 billion, right? So all these smaller films will now go straight to the streamer. Absolutely no doubt. The only movies we'll get in cinemas from Disney
will be blockbusters.
Big blockbusters.
Yep.
The Marvel films.
Yep.
The live-action remakes, which do $1 billion each, most of them.
And I reckon even a lot of the Marvel stuff will probably go straight to streaming too.
Well, yeah, because they're doing all the Marvel TV series now for streaming, so I don't know. So, I mean, the question is, what does it mean for the theatrical experience? I think it's just that. It's just that you go to cinemas to see big blockbusters and you stay at home to watch the smaller scale stuff, the independent stuff, the stuff that they're not going to make money on in cinemas, which is a huge blow.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to sort of work out what they'll do because you've got, what's his name? The director of The Mandalorian.
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau has just come out and said that they want to be filming third season of The Mandalorian this year.
Yeah.
And part of the interview that I saw with him, or read of it, was that he said that he's not going to count out. He's not going to count out crossover. Sorry, not crossover films, but part of this franchise, the Mandalorian franchise, going to cinemas.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so because now the big rumors are Mandalorian movie. Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Chapek was actually asked about what this means for the theatrical experience, and you'd hope that he'd come out and go, "It's fine. Theaters are fine. We're still making movies for theater."
No, they're not.
Well, the answer was
they're making movies and putting it on a platform where they can make the most money out of it.
Well,
that's what they're going to do.
Well, let's have a listen to what Bob Chapek said, right, when he was asked about this.
Yeah, so as you know, we've benefited from a tremendous relationship with theatrical exhibition for many, many, many years. As dynamics change in the marketplace, though, we want to make sure that we're giving consumers who want to go to theaters to experience everything that a theatrical release can give them. We want to make sure that we continue to give them that option. But at the same time, there's a lot of consumers that want to experience a movie in the safety, comfort, and convenience of their own home for whatever reasons they do. So we want to make sure that, again, that we put the consumer first, and the consumer is going to be making the decision in terms of how they consume our media, as opposed to some arbitrary decision that we may make from a distribution standpoint. So we want to look at ourselves as consumer enablers.
Consumer enablers.
Yep.
So it's not theaters first.
No.
It's consumer first.
Yep.
And it's
and that's what they're in. They're there to provide
exactly right
entertainment to a consumer, to you and I.
Yeah.
And everybody listening.
Yeah.
So you can sort of understand that. But,
it's sad.
That doesn't sound great for the cinemas, does it?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't help all these, it might sound like doomsday stuff. Oh, cinemas are closing. Far out, man. I don't know, because it's like 2 or 3 days after, the European Cinema Union come out and said, oh, we're feared. You'd hope that a studio would come out and go, oh, no, it's okay. We're still going to support you guys. And we've got Disney, who, again, is the big studio who everyone else follows, are coming out and going, we're just going to do what's best for our customers.
Exactly right.
And if our customers are paying more money for Disney Plus than are going to cinemas, we'll put it on Disney Plus.
And you'll have lazy CEOs from other studios going, good enough for Disney, let's just do it too.
Exactly right.
Instead of taking an opposed stance and go, I think this is best for our brand to go to cinemas or whichever, they'll just go, Disney are doing it, why don't we just do it?
Well, again, Disney Plus comes out instantly. Warner Brothers, HBO Max, Universal Peacock, Paramount Plus is coming next year. So all the big studios have got their own streaming platforms now, and they're just going to follow Disney. They're watching and they're going to see what they do. It's been the same since the 1920s, right? Everyone followed Walt Disney, and everyone keeps following the name, the brand. And again, I've said this a number of times. It goes back to this talk that I saw with Jeffrey Katzenberg in 2014, 6 years ago. Yep. He was at the time the CEO of DreamWorks Animation. He was asked in this talk where he saw the future of cinema in the next 10 years. We briefly went over this in the pilot episode, but since then I've actually found an audio bite. This is what Jeffrey had to say 6 years ago about where cinema was going to be in 10 years' time.
So, 10 years from now, movies will come into movie theaters and they'll be exclusive in movie theaters. My guess is 2 weeks, 3 weekends, something like that. 15 days, 17 days, something like that. And then after that, movies will be available everywhere to everyone on the planet, and you will pay for the movie based on the square inch. So the bigger the screen, the more you pay for it. So if you watch it on a projection in your home, you'll pay $12. You watch it on a 75-inch TV, you'll pay $6.95. You watch it on this, you'll pay $1.99. People will pay for this not based on windows of availability, but on the size of the screen, meaning the quality of the presentation that you see.
Doesn't that just sound exactly like what's happening right now? It's been a long time coming. It's been a long, long time coming. And this is something they've been planning for years.
And that was how long ago that talking of?
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yep. So Chapek went on to say, actually, that that this is something they've been talking about doing for ages, but the pandemic has accelerated the speed at which it's happened. That's what I've been saying the last few weeks is they've all gone, okay, it's our chance, just jump for it right now, just do it. And they've done it, and it's paying off. And sadly, it's at the detriment for the theatrical experience. And I'm going to be very sad to see cinemas go. Very sad. Awful.
Well, it'll go in waves. You know, like I was saying, was it last week, the week before, that there was that period late 90s, early 2000s where cinemas were struggling, and it was because of big franchises like Marvel and Star Wars that they had a revival, and they've enjoyed a really good run the last 15 years or so, and they'll probably have a bit of a lull here, and hopefully at one point it'll come back again, and just come back in waves.
Well, I don't think cinemas will close down completely. I
don't think so.
As we've said, they'll stay open. There might be less around, and it might be that films go to them on a limited release, and then, like Jeffrey said 6 years ago, they go into cinemas for 15 days, and then they're on your streaming platform.
Yeah.
So Black Widow goes to cinemas 15 days later. You can get it on Disney Plus, right? I think that's kind of the way it's going to go. And the interesting thing about this whole thing now, it completely making sense. The penny has dropped why Bob Chapek was chosen to be the new CEO of Disney after Bob Iger stepped down. He was previously the head of home media. He then went on to head of consumer product, and then was the chairman of Parks and Resorts. So he is behind like merchandising, direct-to-consumer materials, and distribution and stuff for many, many years. I was baffled at the beginning. Why have they chosen this guy? Why have they chosen a guy whose primary focus at the company has been like direct-to-consumer like products and merchandise and parks and stuff? Why not choose Alan Horn, who's the co-chairman of Disney and runs the Disney Studios, is a CCO over at Disney Studios, or Alan Bergman, who works as the co-chairman alongside Horn. I was thinking, why not put one of these guys, the movie guys, in charge? Like Bob Iger. Bob Iger comes from a history of entertainment. Eisner came from, and Katzenberg came from a background of entertainment, of making films. And then they picked this consumer products guy, this guy who is, all about distribution to... It makes sense now.
Yeah.
The penny has dropped.
Yeah,
it makes sense because that's where the company is now going. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.